Hi, I'm Null Agent, developer behind Rfparty. Rfparty is a tool for visualizing Bluetooth advertisements and BLE packets. So Rfparty is available for Linux on GitHub. It's also available on the Android Play Store. So download it in either place. And today I'm going to be focused on the Android first run experiences. So I'm going to go over just kind of some of the basic capabilities of the application. When you first open it, you have this ability to do queries, and the app will begin to monitor Bluetooth and location data in the background. So if you move away from the app screen, it'll try to keep a running logging until the app is explicitly closed. So while the app is running, you can then do queries. There's a whole number of queries that you can do. I'll describe them in a moment. And so using queries, you can populate the display with BLE packets that match your query and can be geolocated based off of the GPS data that was also recorded at the same time. So here's a plot of coronavirus contact tracing BLE pings. And I was, of course, curious to see how anonymized the addresses were and whether or not they were actually randomized and things like that. So this is what you should expect to see when you first run Rfparty. So first run, it's going to ask for a bunch of permissions to be able to log your GPS location when it sees Bluetooth. And additionally, we use activity permission to know when to turn on your GPS, so when your phone is actually in motion. So you'll see me be prompted and agree to permission for the location and then for activity tracking. And then finally, it's going to ask you one more time for location permission. And this is for background usage. So it's giving you an opportunity to opt into background. So if you do want this to work when the app is not visibly open, you're going to need to hit allow all the time. So this allows us so that when you move away from the app or when you lock your phone, that the app can actually continue running. If you don't check this, the app will only work when it is fully in view and your phone is unlocked. That might work for some people, but if you want to use it, in a more passive mode, you'll need to set it for background there. And so after that, the app should be able to finish loading and it will pick up your first location point. If for some reason you see some errors or it doesn't get to that point, it's most likely because permissions aren't set correctly. So if for some reason your permissions aren't set correctly or you've removed them, you can simply add those permissions back simply either by starting the app and agreeing to the permissions or by finding the app in your menu, long pressing on it and going to the app information or the configuration page. And so here you'll see an area for permissions, hit permissions, and then make sure that location and physical activity are selected. And you can, of course, allow all the time or simply when it's in view. And then finally, if those aren't here, you can add them by hitting the button in the top right and searching for location and physical activity permission and adding them. So once you have those permissions added, you'll be able to audit Bluetooth devices. So here's a quick video of me auditing my GoPro. So I wanted to know kind of what the Bluetooth fingerprint of a GoPro looked like. So when you first turn on your GoPro, you'll actually find out that they typically have their wireless connection turned on by default. So I want to see what that looked like. So the first thing I do here is power up everything and wait for the app to load, get a GPS ping, and I start searching for GoPro. And then once I found the GoPro, so here's the GoPro being detected, I was able to locate it and it's correctly found. It's recognized as a GoPro, recognizes the services, all of that jazz, and has a local name that's set. And additionally, its MAC address is set. Notably, that MAC address never appears to change for the lifetime of the GoPro, making the GoPro very trackable. So in this audit, I was actually able to fully reconstruct my path. So here you're seeing the GPS pings and the quality of them indicated by the color. And at the end here, when I get where I'm going, I do another query for GoPro. And once I do that query for GoPro, it shows me where the GoPro was when it started and where it ended. And additionally, it actually knows multiple of the points along the way. So that was really helpful for me to know and kind of gives you an idea of the types of auditing that you can do with Rfparty. These queries that can be done, so I'll go ahead and start describing those. So here's a query that you can run and it'll show you all the Bluetooth devices that were in that visual area. So if you go on a walk or a run, and then you're curious about, Bluetooth devices that you wandered past, or what your devices were doing while you were moving through these areas, here's a great way to populate those. If you just type name, hit enter on that will give you just the devices that had a human readable name set of some sort. And of course, all of these are touch enabled, so you don't have to fully type things out. You can tap them on the screen as well. Company will show you devices that we could find, that we could fingerprint their company. So we know about 4,000 different companies, products, or services, or other Bluetooth protocols. So any of those human readable names will work on this company field here. Address. So every Bluetooth device has an address. They can be randomized, they can be private, but they all at least have an address. So you can search for an address, we'll call it a MAC address. And then products, so you can search for a certain product like a Google Chromecast or a GoPro or things like that. Service allows you to search for specific services. So there's all sorts of different Bluetooth services like GATT protocol and all of the different things like SDP and RFCOM, all sorts of different low-level protocols. You can, of course, also search for the human-readable versions of all of those. And then unknown service is a great way to find things that isn't in our catalog of 4,000 fingerprints. So these are things that we haven't seen before that, maybe you're the first person to notice it, or again, it could just be something that's not in our catalog yet. But yeah, so that will surface those things. Apple IP is a really interesting one. It will actually show you IP addresses of Apple devices like iPhones and laptops that are just publicly kind of spinning that out on the airwaves for some reason. So that's available. Duration is kind of a great one to use for devices that might be serendipitous tracking devices or intentional tracking devices. So duration will look for things that were near your device for the specified period of time. So frequently things around your house, you're going to see those for hours on end. So you can type a number like 48 and then H for hours. Or if it's, something that, you're out and about and you're like, hey, I wonder what the last 30 minutes of, Bluetooth activity looked like, or what things were around me today that were for more than 30 minutes or whatever. So you can do any kind of minute timer there. And then errors are the actual Bluetooth devices that we think are exhibiting some sort of error. Either they're doing their stated protocol incorrectly or their data doesn't make sense. Yeah, so Rfparty is currently on sale on the Google Play Store. Download it from there. Simply search for Rfparty on the store. We have a special sale going on the next 3 days. So the app is typically $10, but since we're just getting it launched right now, we want to give early adopters a chance to get it for $3. Be sure to give us a like and subscribe, and remember to party on.